The Gophers Athletics programs are completely underrated, and I will not take any other answer.
Hey,
You are Locked On Golden
No matter what we're
Gophers,
going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
your daily podcast on the Minnesota
Whatever
Golden
however it
Gophers.
turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday, when we are in full swing. But right now we're in the off season, but we've got 4 shows for you this week. You'll be here. This one's dropping late at night on a Friday, the last night of June, but you'll probably check it out on the first day of July as we head into the final month of off season before football is back. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get the podcast, follow wherever you get the podcast at Locked On Golden Gophers. But I had to do a little mini show, shorter show for y'all because I can't take the disrespect. Now you might be like, Kane, what are you talking about? Who disrespected who? What? I'm not. Catch me up. Get me up to speed. Well, I got you. I got you covered because a while back we talked about how all the Locked On hosts had started to do a poll to figure out where schools ranked, especially in football and categories, and they ranked it by Big Ten fan bases. They ranked it by Big Ten defenses in football. They ranked Big Ten offenses, projected starting quarterbacks, coaches, and so much more. But they ended up ranking the overall, not just basketball, not just football, the overall athletic programs rankings in the Big Ten. And you know what? I was like, okay. And now, mind you, I wasn't able to fill out this poll because I missed the deadline by a hair. Work had me busy, but regardless, those that did vote of my Locked On fellow hosts, they came back with overall athletic program rankings. And I'm like, all right, Minnesota should be pretty decent in here. You know, footballs have been on the rise. Basketball is a struggle. But outside of that, they've been really nice. They put Minnesota 13th out of 14 programs in the Big Ten for overall athletic programs. You want to know what the top 5 were? The top 5 were Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Let me say that again for you. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Who happens to usually be favored when it comes to helmet scouting or quick thoughts and rankings of the Big Ten? When you think about the go-to programs, especially for football, you're going to think Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State. Yep, think about them all the time. They're the top 3 programs for football. Wisconsin and Iowa on the west side. Come on, y'all. We got to look past the helmet scouting. If we're going to do rankings like this, you have to get the background. You have to do some research. You got to put in the time. You can't just be like, well, I don't know, so I'm just going to click on a bunch of things and see what happens. No, that's not how this works. So I wanted to go back. I wanted to take a minute to look at the other sports and where Minnesota finished over this 2022-23 season to really dive into where the athletic program sits as a whole. So we're going to do this thing. Volleyball, kicking it off. Now, this is going to be a shorter show. We're just going to go through some of these, but you should know that Minnesota should probably be in that 5 through 7 range in the overall athletic programs, bar none. Now, listen to all this. Volleyball finished 10th in the nation, not the Big Ten, 10th in the nation. 4th in the Big Ten. So it tells you 4 teams were in the top 10 when it came to volleyball, and Minnesota was one of those in the top 10 in the nation. Then you move over to gymnastics, 18th in the country, not the Big Ten, the country, with 4th in the Big Ten in final standing. Softball finished 30th in the nation, was top 25 during the season at some point, 2nd in the Big Ten, only to Northwestern. So you're talking about a 4th finish in the Big Ten, a 4th finish in the Big Ten, and a 2nd finish in the Big Ten. Yeah, but 13th out of 14. Yeah, makes sense. Come on now, y'all. Move it over to track. You've got them rated at the beginning of the year as the #1 track program in outdoor track and field in the nation. They ended up finishing in the top 20 as the track season concluded, 3rd in the Big Ten. You got men's hockey, which was #1 in the nation nearly all year. They finished as 1st in the Big Ten in the regular season, 2nd in the Big Ten tournament, losing to Michigan, and finished as the national title runner-ups. You've got the women's hockey team, which was #2 in the pairwise in the entire country, #2 in their WCHA. I know, but a lot of Big Ten schools in there, so we'll just go with it. And they were #2 behind Ohio State. Then you've got, and then of course, Wisconsin won the championship there. So even then, 3rd of those 3 teams that have seen themselves in the Big Ten programs in the other sports. You move it over to golf. We had a golfer who was not only a Big Ten championship team member, he was all Big Ten second team and a single season scoring record for the Minnesota Gophers golf program. 2 women's golfers that saw the Minnesota Gophers ranking start at 101st in the country when it came to a golf program for women, moved all the way up to 57th by the end of the year, the lowest 18-hole score in school history, 3 Big Ten golfers of the week. On top of that, they were the only Big Ten school in the entire country to have 2 freshmen rated in the top 130 golfers, one of only 3 programs in the whole country. Wrestling finished 12th in the nation, 6th in the Big Ten. Swimming and diving finished 5th in the Big Ten, 26th in the nation. I'm reading these off to you back to back to back. You haven't heard anything below a 6th place finish, but we're 13th in the entire conference of 14 teams for athletic programs overall. That just shows helmet scouting. That just shows bias. That just shows you don't know what you're talking about. And look, I don't want to bash any of my fellow co-hosts because I got love and respect for them. They put in the work. They put in the time to give everyday content. And that is a grind. But if we're going to do these ranking sessions, folks, I got nothing but love for Locked On. That's where I rock. That's where we give information each and every day of the week. But if we're going to do these rankings, let's put some research in. Let's put some extra effort in and be the best of the best and know what we're talking about, because 13th is abysmal when it comes to trying to say that's where the Gophers should rank as an overall for programs in the conference when it comes to athletic programs overall. Now, before I go on to give love to some of these programs, not only for these finishes, but to the success that they had in the Big Ten Conference, first, I want to bring up our friends over at FanDuel. You should head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon, and you can take advantage of a new promo they have going on where you can win up to $200 back in bonus bets, depending on how much you put down on a wager. You put down $20, you can get $200 back in bonus bets, whether you win or lose. It doesn't matter. It's not a no sweat first bet anymore. It's a whole different promo. Head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Check out some of the MLB lines. Check out some of the futures lines for college football and so much more over at FanDuel.com/lockedon. So I'm going to back off of the tirade a little bit right here, but I want to thank y'all for tuning in each and every day as loyal Gophers listeners. We're talking about Gophers Sports in the June month, about to be July. There are no Gophers Sports going on right now. So if you are listening, you are a diehard, and I appreciate you. You have found your new home, whether that be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, YouTube, you name it. So be sure to follow, leave a 5-star review, hit subscribe, jump in the comments down below over on YouTube. Let's build this thing up, squad up. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers over on YouTube. I appreciate y'all, but let's give some love to these programs and how they finished overall. We talked about the overall finish and why that was such a disrespectful ranking. But let's talk about some of the accolades of each sport. Volleyball this year, nice success. We've got a new coach coming in this next year in Coach Cook. I'm excited for him. We've got some major players returning to the volleyball court. But overall, last year we had the Big Ten Player of the Year in Taylor Landfair. On top of that, Fun fact, new transfer Kylie Murr from Ohio State is coming in. She was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. So we've got the best player of the year and the defensive player of the year on the same squad now. On top of that, we had 3 all Big Ten first team players last season. All 3 of them will be back this upcoming season, I believe. And then you add Kylie Murr to that. That's 4 all Big Ten first team players in this next season for the Gophers. We also had a first all Big Ten second team player nod as well, and 2 all Big Ten freshman team players. Taylor Lamphere was named a first team All-American in the country. Absolute baller. I cannot wait to check her out at the POV this year. Now we move it on over to gymnastics. Like I said, they placed 3rd in their regional this year. They didn't make it to the finals, but Maya Hooten was an absolute baller. She was the Big Ten floor champ, the Big Ten vault champ, tied for the Big Ten vault champ. First in the team overall was first in the Big Ten in Session 1 championships, but then they ended up getting passed by Michigan after the overall cumulative scores. They had 2 all Big Ten first team gymnasts, 2 all Big Ten second team gymnasts, in a successful season overall, though they're going to look to keep growing on that success with some top-notch recruits coming in next season as well. You kick it to softball. Like I said, they finished 30th in the nation, all Big Ten. They had 4 on the first team, 1 on the second team, 1 on the freshman team. Big Ten pitcher of the year in Peace. She was a baller. She was absolutely dynamic. She's got a cannon of an arm. 2 all Big Ten tourney players, 10th straight tourney appearance for the Gophers softball team, 3 all regional first teams, 1 all regional second team, 1 all regional third team, and then you've got 2 All-Americans, 1 in Autumn Pease and on the second team, and 1 in Taylor Craft of the third team All-American. Then you kick it on over to track. Now, like I said, they were number 1. Men's track was number 1 in the nation when it came to their initial rankings. They finished in the top 20. And Big Ten Field Athlete of the Year on the squad, 2 Regional Athletes of the Year, and a national runner-up in the hammer throw. A whole bunch of All-Americans and all of them All-American honorable mentions, including Matt Wilkinson on the first team, Kostas Zaltos on the first team, Kion Benjamin on the second team, Jake Kubiatowicz. I could have absolutely butchered that, but much love to you regardless. He was an All-American. I couldn't see if it was the first or the second team, but either way, it was one of those actual teams, and he absolutely balled out on the hammer throw this year. Amira Young on the female side of things was an honorable mention. The 4x1 team of Odell Fry, Amira Young, Lauren Hansen, and Akila Lewis, all American honorable mentions. Carlos Hostin, honorable mention. Michael Buchanan, honorable mention. And the 4x1 team of the men's side was a second team All-American with Hostin, Benjamin, Shermer, and Augustine running that one. Then you kick it on over to hockey. Now, we talk about hockey on this podcast, not as much as basketball and football, but we talk about some Gophers men's hockey. And you know what? They had 2 Hobie Baker finalists. The 2 of the 3 finalists. Now, neither one of them ended up with a trophy, unfortunately. But you're talking about the Heisman of hockey. You had 2 guys in the top 3. You are a national runner-up in the country. Big Ten co-scoring champions, both of them being freshmen. 3 All-Big Ten first teams, 3 All-Big Ten second teams, 3 All-Big Ten freshman teams, Big Ten Coach of the Year, College Hockey Coach of the Year, Big Ten Player of the Year, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, and 3 first-team All-Americans in Brock Faber, Logan Cooley, and Matthew Nyes. I'm still baffled that somehow, some way, we got voted as the 13th best program in the Big Ten. But I'm just doing this now to show love because this is a recap of what happened with Gophers Sports in this past season. We don't always talk about all the sports, but I want to show love and give credit where credit is due. You move on to the women's hockey team, finished number 2 in the pairwise, like I said, made it to the Frozen Four, number 2 overall seed in the tournament, WCHA final face-off champions, forward of the year, 2 Patty Kiasmer, top 10 finalists, 2 WCHA first teams, 3 you get what I'm saying, WCHA, I'm trying to talk too fast on that one, but third teams, 3 of them, and then 1 rookie team as well. Then you got Taylor Heisey and Grace Zumwinkle, both All-Americans, Heisey on the first team, Zumwinkle on the second team. Ben Warrion was a baller for the golf team, set a new record, like I said, for the Gophers season scoring record, all Big Ten second team and a Big Ten championship team member. The women's golf team, they've got two freshmen that absolutely showed out. They've made it to the regionals. One of them, Bella McCauley, advanced to the NCAA championships and was an all Big Ten second team golfer, tied for second in the Big Ten championship tournament. And like I said, Minnesota was one of only 3 schools in the entire country with 2 freshmen in the top 130. So the future is absolutely bright for women's golf. Wrestling, they've been dominant, and Gable Stevenson might be coming back. So look out, world, because if that happens, you already might as well chalk it up. That man is going to win a championship. So lastly, I wanted to say swimming and diving, love their ranking, still in the top 25, 26, top 30 in the nation. They get it done, but just much love to the Gophers programs. The future is bright, and that isn't even bringing up women's basketball, which looks on the right trajectory. They could be easily step back from easily. They've got all the talent, the coaching, and all of that to get back to the tournament this year. The football team is on the right trajectory. We've seen 3 9+ win seasons in the last 3 full seasons. Hopefully they can make it happen again with a very, very difficult schedule this upcoming season. And now that just leads to men's hoops. Men's hoops has to get back on track, but you get that back on track, you're talking about a program that has basically top 5 in the conference in all of these major sports. Top 5 in all of these. Some of them, I believe one of them was 6. Wrestling this year was 6. If Gable Stevenson's back, it's going to be higher than 6. Book it. So overall, the Gophers are in a great spot athletically. We got to get men's hoops back on track. But outside of that, a great year for the Gophers overall. There could still be some better things that could have swung our way. Of course, on men's hockey championship would have been amazing. The women getting to the championship would have been amazing as well on the hockey side of things. Football getting to the Big Ten championship would have been nice. We dropped the ball in areas, but overall, the Gophers are in a good state. So much love to them. Shout out to them. But that's going to do it for us on today's shorter show, a weekend recap show of the Gophers Sports on the year. I appreciate y'all. Please let me know some shows you want to hear this offseason, players you want to hear from, and much more down in the comments over on YouTube. This is going to do it for us on Locked On Golden Gophers. As always, this is the show where we always continue to row, rain or shine, row the boat, Sky Uma, go Gophers, and don't forget to subscribe.